Lebanon Beirut Davant Pipirimi Darshan Men Bovita.
Haul of explosives was to blame. This report from Sean Dilley contains some distressing scenes.
It was a catastrophic explosion.
What?
The blast was heard 150 miles away. Another view from moments earlier shows a fire in Beirut port. Authorities say the flashes were caused by fireworks. But then, as the sound of the explosion rang out across the city, windows smashed and buildings were destroyed. From the streets, Beirut could only watch as the carnage unfolded.
We were at home. We heard what sounded like fireworks. We thought it was a container in the port that was on fire. A few seconds later, we were flying through the air.
Already heavily stretched by the COVID crisis, Beirut's hospitals were overwhelmed by casualties in need of urgent treatment.
We have at least 300 wounded in the hospital right now. We have 6 operating suites that are still operating right now, and this keeps filling up by another group that needs attention. We have about 4 to 5 in intensive care. We have 3 that arrived dead. Every one of our crew, doctors and nurses are operating. Even administration, everyone is working. We have a lot of damage, as you can see. All the ceilings have collapsed at the entrance, and the glass windows of patients' rooms.
As embattled medics struggled to help the injured, distraught locals sought to find lost relatives.
He's 29 years old. From 7 o'clock in the evening, we've been all over every hospital in Beirut, and we are now waiting for the names to come out, and nothing has come out. We don't know if he's dead or alive. We just don't know.
The international community has offered its help to a city in turmoil. Boris Johnson tweeted, "The UK is ready to provide support in any way we can, including to those British nationals affected." Lebanon's president has announced 3 days mourning and promised to release 100 billion lira, or £50.5 million of emergency funds. Officials say highly explosive materials, believed to be ammonium nitrate, stored in a warehouse for up to 6 years, caused the explosion. They say they're investigating what ignited it. In the meantime, authorities say those responsible will face the maximum possible punishment. Sean Dilley, BBC News.
Well, let's speak to our correspondent Rami Ruhayem, who's in Beirut for us now. Rami, very good morning to you. The scale of this explosion really becoming clear this morning. Bring us right up to date with the latest developments in terms of those who've been killed and the injuries.
Well, the death toll is likely to rise, unfortunately. The number of injured also, we're only just beginning to get figures from the authorities. Yesterday, as soon as one official says one thing, the next minute the toll would be much higher. As you said, the scale is massive of this explosion. The explosion was felt in several kilometers away. As it was experienced as an earthquake. I was quite far away, about 10 kilometers. What I felt to begin with was an earthquake, what felt to me like an earthquake, and then that was followed by an incredibly loud blast. And that was quite a distance away from the site of the explosion. People closer, obviously their homes, the contents of their homes, all destroyed, practically unlivable, uninhabitable. People were actually displaced by this blast. Unfortunately, the toll is quite likely to rise. And again, now one of the main questions that's being asked is how come all that material was just sitting there for 6 years in a warehouse at the port of Beirut, but also other questions such as what's the country going to do without a port where most of its imports come through while it faces economic freefall.
Rami, we're looking at the live images this morning, and you do get a sense of the devastation just at the scene of the explosion itself, with just a trail of smoke emerging from the rubble around there. Many of the injuries we know now were caused by glass shattering on buildings, as you described, many miles away. Can you give us a sense of what that was like for people?
Well, I tried to get close to the site of the explosion yesterday, and the highway leading from the north towards the capital was basically a blanket of shattered glass and rubble. Tractors were trying to clear the rubble so that the cars could go by, and the ambulances were trying to rush to the scene through very, very heavy traffic. So for all of these people around the site of the explosion, for quite a significant distance around the site of the explosion, it was really just a matter of luck. Where you happen to be at the moment the blast strikes is what's going to determine the kind of injury you're going to have, whether you're going to live or die, and what's going to happen to you. And that's talking about the wounded. And the death toll. And of course, for all of those who are in the vicinity of the explosion, the question is how are they, even the lucky ones who weren't wounded, how are they going to rebuild their homes at a time, once again, of economic freefall, when the national currency is in collapse, people's purchasing power has been decimated over the past few months, material like glass, wood, everything you think of when you think of basic reconstruction stuff, prices are going through the roof. So really, I mean, there